Hello and welcome everybody. We're here for one last journey, one single last time in the historical immersion project with Tsaritsa Eliz, the Cursed One of Bulgaria. Messalian Kaiser Tuni, over 43 years ago, saw the greatest atrocity, the Night of the Knives, or the Long Knives rather, the night of Patriarch Yohannan the Eternal, destroying his entire family just so that he could achieve immortality. And indeed he did achieve it, but one family member got away, and that family member was the daughter of Yohannan's brother Ashot, a daughter named Tsaritsa Eliz. We followed her for 43 years as she made her way together with the Bulgarian Company overthrew the Byzantine Empire and into Bulgaria as she reclaimed Ohrid and then went on to reclaim most of the Bulgarian Tsardom. Her foster son is now ready to take over the reins. Bolya Jerolim of Plovdiv has gotten a wonderful education, although he's not perfect, but who is? He is at the very least not cursed. And I know that it still says the bloodline there, but ignore that. He's not cursed because he is not an actual child of Tsaritsa Eliz, the Cursed One. She was not ready to give forth her own blood. Because her own blood, of course, is cursed. It binds you to this world. It makes you a descendant, or rather a carrier of the essence of the Lucifer himself, and as the Bogomilists believe, of the Demiurge himself. That, of course, that burden she could not hand down to her son. And now that she has laid the seed for a strong and stable Bulgarian realm, now that she has given the seed of success to Jerolim, she looks into the east. Patriarch Yohannan the Eternal has been up to something, although it is quite unclear to what exactly. But she must stop him. And just like that, we will immediately begin this episode by becoming an adventurer. Now I want you to know this will be primarily a story-oriented episode. We will primarily go on and essentially just, finish off the story arc here in the H.I.P. Eliz, of course, will lead this army herself. I will make sure, though, by resorting this, that there's a bit of a better, just assortment of these troops. I'm going to have all of the archers in the center, and then we will have the horses over there, and just like that, the center is the strongest unit, just like it should be. And we will make our way east into Girard. We will finish what Patriarch Yohannan started 43 years ago. I can even actually track it right here. 1114. That's actually 46 years ago. Damn, it took us 3 years to conquer Ohrid, I believe. Well, one way or another, here we are now. And let me tell you, this will be a very story-packed, a story-focused, and a story-engaged playthrough. Now, we are, of course, under the banner of the Bulgarian band, and that is primarily because, well, it's fairly easy. I don't think that Eliz would like to fly her house banner. I don't think she wants to fly the Bulgarian banner because Bulgaria is now in the hands of Tsar Jerolim of Bulgaria. Instead, she is going to go ahead and fly the colors of the Bulgarian band. The colors that she was flying when she left Girard, and now she shall return with it and bring justice. Justice awaits in the east. Eliz still remembered the day on which she had to abandon and flee her homeland. Oh, well, remembered it well. Adelphius had betrayed her and his entire family. Later, he would frame it as a necessary act of sacred violence, a sacrifice that would enable the salvation of all humankind. Finally, after all these decades, Eliz would be able to reveal the face behind the mask of lies. Her adoptive son Jerolim would rule over Bulgaria, and she would conquer and cleanse Armenia from Adelphius' filth. Adelphius, you will pay for your crimes. And just like that, we will march east. We will make him pay. That much should be clear to everybody. Into Asia. Eliz had not been on good terms with the lords and ladies of the Eastern Roman Empire for quite some time, as her arrival in lands formerly controlled by the Basileus meant that the loss of power in Europe that had occurred after the Crusade against Italias was reinforced for the time being. Even still, the Basileus had granted her passage through her lands as long as she would not pillage or plunder on her way to Armenia. Whether it was the threat of the Patriarch to the east or the 20,000 healthy men at the walls of Constantinople was unclear. Not like the Basileus had a choice either way, indeed. Oh, I'm excited, man. This is going to be a short but a juicy episode, let me tell you. Hearsay. Eliz listened closely to the words of her scout. My lady, our latest reports indicate that the Patriarch has heard of our journey into the east and is making some sort of preparation. He has reportedly begun clearing the villages on the realm's western border, leaving behind only scorched earth. The Patriarch himself supposedly has not stepped out of his quarters since we crossed the Bosporus. We can only assume that his health has suffered significantly. Eliz nodded, although she did feel rather uneasy with the last part of the report. If he were sick and mad, would he truly prepare for war? That is a question that is, I think, very, very vital. He has been possessed for such a long time, ever since he became immortal. But recently he also became a lunatic and got rabies. Now, I want to just say like this. I'm going to leave this up in the air. If he is an absolute madman, if he is sick to the death, you know, if you have rabies, you literally can't swallow, you can't drink. You are destined to pass away, and yet he lives. What exactly that means, I will not pronounce, but maybe it's just misinformation. Maybe it is not the truth. Maybe it is the truth. We will soon find out, hopefully. So it begins. News had reached the camp that further east, Armenia was truly preparing for war. Patriarch Yohannan had called for an all-out defense against his vicious and deceitful niece. A draft unrivaled by anything that had come before had been conducted in Armenia to raise as many capable, or at the very least semi-capable fighters as possible. Eliz had been described as a witch, ready to breach paradise and bring utter ruin to all serving the Patriarch. It was hard to estimate how many would follow the call of the Patriarch, and his army was extraordinarily well equipped, motivated and trained, but what would they do against hundreds of thousands of misguided peasants? She wished to never find out. And just like that, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to use the options of being a mercenary or an adventurer, and I'm going to give ourselves a strong claim here, and we're immediately going to go and declare war against Patriarch Yohannan the Eternal. There is no future with Adelphius in power. Indeed, there isn't. No, I don't actually care about that, thank you very much. We are where we need to be. Crossing the border. Armenia. Eliz had come home. And yet she did not recognize the lands before her. She had only seen them once, back when the Bulgarian Company had aided her in fleeing the country. Her father, Ashort, had held land in eastern H.I.P, this land. Regardless, the land before her had changed either way. A hostile, ashen land, with every field, pasture and village burnt down to the ground, and only few souls lingering behind the ruins. The only people left were the persecuted, lost, and bandits. All those following the Messalian message had moved to the horn of the Patriarch. Eliz knew that Yohannan's army would likely focus on protecting the Patriarch, but she was determined to end it all once and for all. Long ago she had fled from Girard. Now she would return. So what we're going to do is, as our war strategy, we are going to attack Girard directly. We're going to take care of the Patriarch wherever he is. I don't have to battle the peasants. It's not a necessity. Defeating the Patriarch, on the other hand, is a necessity. I don't see the army anywhere close by. He does have a bigger army than we do, and yet I cannot spot them. I don't even know if they actually have a commander. Oh, there they are, probably. Down there, interesting. Well, one way or another, I think you know what time it is. Siege of Kumairi. It has fallen. The fall of evil? The Patriarch's army had never showed. His peasants never raised their pitchforks in defense of their lord. Only a small castle garrison had attempted to defend the castle of Girard. It had been surprisingly easy to destroy the bastion of the east, as they called it. Adelphius himself had been found in his chamber and was thrown into a cell in his own dungeon. Eliz had never been as happy as she was in the moment she was instructed of the fall of Girard. He would waste no time and visit Adelphius immediately. We got him, ladies and gentlemen. We got him. But it feels almost as though it was too easy, doesn't it? He will get what he deserves. Having the last laugh. Adelphius didn't look mad or sickly. He just sat in his cell, quietly, menacing. Eliz felt like she had watched him in silence for a small eternity, and yet it could not have been more than a couple of minutes. This was the man that had done all of this to her, her family, and the people of H.I.P. Suddenly she heard a foreign but familiar voice. Oh, Eliz, you ran from destiny, almost spoiled salvation. But do not be afraid, for I found a way. I recognized the truth about her blood, but so did you, didn't you? We are the remaining essence of the will that made this world. Lucifer, the demiurge. That a part of us would turn against its nature, remarkable, and yet futile. You failed to see the inevitable conclusion of our existence. You lost. What have you done? What has he done indeed? Here you see what's going on. Yeah. Just give it a minute. The Great Disappearance. Adelphius had just finished addressing his niece as the cell's walls were all of a sudden bathed in bright light, blinding Alice's eyes. Yet she could not avert her gaze. Alice, you are but an ant to me. I have become Lucifer, the demiurge. My followers have trusted and served me for decades, and I see that they kept their vows. My reign over this plane will be beautiful and terrible. I will form the new and smite the old. All must serve in this arena. Eliz was thrown against the wall of the prison's hallway, and when she regained consciousness, everything had changed. Wait, where did he go? And just like that, he had gone. Oh, this title is actually not supposed to exist anymore, excuse you? What? Look, I'm gonna just finish this war. Actually, I'm gonna take you down, and then we're gonna leave her where she is, right here. The new Patriarch will not rise. Sure, release him. Don't really care about that. I just need... Oh, really? Let's finish this war, but let's talk about... Once we have finished the war, let's talk about what this means. What any of this means. Here we go. We are the Lady of H.I.P, the Lady of the Messalian Glory. It is all underneath us now, but the land has changed. Some would call it border gore, but I would call it something much, much more. As you can see, Messalianism is gone in all of the regions directly ruled over by the Patriarch himself. You can see it's still here, but those people are forbidden the worship of the Patriarch as they are part of the Sunni Caliphate. Instead, all those that did not worship the Patriarch have come out of their holes. They are gathering around. Their local religions are now coming forth once again. Apostolic as a church is returning. The Orthodoxy is returning. And of course, some Muslims have made it into the country as well. What has happened here? Oh, even some Maronites. That is super cool. Some Maronites are even here. What has happened here? Well, let me explain it to you. Tsaritsa Eliz, the Cursed One of the Messalian Glory, has failed. She has failed in her entire mission. Because she did not recognize what the actual threat was about. He never wanted earthly rule. He never wanted to rule the world. Not as a human anyway. It turns out that the Messalians that worshipped us, that worshipped our blood, that believed that our blood was blessed, as they thought we were not the demiurge, but somebody that came in afterwards to free the people trapped by the demiurge, the souls entrapped by the demiurge. They were wrong. Agomalism and all those that came after it, the Cathars, for example, all those were correct. For what in truth has happened was that we are the essence of Lucifer, and Lucifer is nothing but the absolute demiurge. Lucifer is the culmination and complete addition of all little parts that make up the essence of, our bloodline. Lucifer is the one that trapped all these souls as the demiurge he is in the known world, in this earthly plane. And what our good old our good old Patriarch Yohannan attempted to do and succeeded in doing was to bind the power of all those surrounding him, that all those that followed him to himself, so that he may ascend to the purest form of Lucifer once again. Tsaritsa Eliz, the Cursed One of the Messalian Glory, has failed. She reclaimed some land, but no others follow her, although of course her army is mighty powerful. And yet, how would she prevail? How would she do anything about this? That is not a story that we will answer. Do not worry. This will be the very last in H.I.P. that you will hear about the H.I.P dynasty, but it will not be the last that you will hear about the H.I.P dynasty. You will hear two more things. The first one will be here tomorrow, when we will have a time lapse in which we will take a look at what our old Tsaritsa Eliz the Cursed One does, and what, of course, good old Tsar Jerolim, priest-hater of Bulgaria, does. We will do a time-lapse and witness this world. But right after, we might explore, not an H.I.P, but we might explore what Kaiser Yohannan has achieved, who he now is, and what he now does. So tomorrow you will see a time-lapse in this world, in this pocket of existence. And the day after, we will be taking a look at the true purpose and the true achievements of Kaiser Yohannan the Eternal. All we know right now is that his plan was to become the pure essence of the Demiurge. And that finishes this series. For our revenge was futile all along. I will see you in the next episode. Thank you so much for tuning in again, and later, alligator.